Hi everyone. Today's tutorial is going to be how to make clean designs. And this is the design that we're going to be doing today. I'm using Pikachu because Pikachu is a beginner design, at least as far as these go. My designs rely on a few important techniques. One, I do not cut my paper into pieces. I trace right on top if I'm going to trace. 2, I always layer over black. And 3, I cut out pieces and then piece them together like a puzzle. Each each of these is like a separate piece, and they're layered on top of the black in the end. This is a really good technique for me because it allows for tracing, it allows for partial tracing, or it allows for no tracing at all. It's a really flexible strategy. If you're wanting to trace something, all that you have to do is print it on the computer in the exact size that you want. If you don't want to trace and you want to use your own artwork, you have the option of either drawing straight on top of the duct tape. And drawing means not with a pencil or pen, it means making indents into the duct tape. Or you can take a piece of paper with your pre-made drawing on it and then trace your own work. So let's get started, and hopefully you guys will learn a lot from this and be able to make designs much easier. So first you'll want a piece of duct tape that is the entire size of your design. If your design is really big and includes multiple pieces, then you'll have to sort of split it up. It's really easy to figure out for Pikachu though, because he's mostly all yellow, so of course our main piece is going to be yellow. So this is 7 inches by a little taller than 3 inches. Even though this actual design is like 5 inches tall, it's going to need to be cropped because I usually put them on a wallet, which is only 3 inches. So do that. Okay, for this step, we're not cutting out the design. We are just going to trace on top of it. I use a box cutter like this. I know a lot of people use X-Acto knives because see, this is my knife end, but I also have this end, which is dull, and that's what I trace with. If not, you're going to need some sort of dull device to trace with. You can use like a mechanical pencil without lead in it should work. Also, I mean, a butter knife might be able to work, but it would be a little difficult to handle. Yeah, I think if you don't have something like this, I'd recommend most mechanical pencil without lead. So just draw around every single outline, just right on top of the design. And what it's going to do is it's going to create an indent in the duct tape, which you can then cut out from. Okay, so when you lift up your paper, what you should get is an outline of your design in the yellow. What you then do is cut out every piece whether the piece is meant to be yellow or not. So let's do that. Okay, so when you have that all cut out, you're going to want to take the pieces that aren't supposed to be your main color, so pieces that aren't supposed to be yellow, and take them out of the design. Do not destroy them, just set them aside. Now at this point you can also remove the edges. Okay, now there's a couple things we need to do. My designs are based on layering over black in order to create an outline. I really think that that improves the design and gives it a more artistic look to it. You'll see that we made a couple indents into this. That normally would look like lines were this a drawing, but because we're layering it over black, they need to be full-on cutouts. So these lines next to the ears and where the arms are need to be completely cut out, and that also includes the smile. Okay, so now you can sort of see lines. Right now they're going to look light blue, but later they're going to be black. For Pikachu, there are details of him that I'm leaving black, such as the eyes, his little back stripes, and top of his ears. But I can demonstrate an important technique in his cheeks. So you can see that we set these pieces aside that were little cutouts of his cheek. We set them aside so that we can easily, for like the sort of puzzle work, make them red. What we'll do is lay this right on top of a red piece of duct tape and use it as a stencil to cut out so that we know it'll fit right in this area. But the issue is we need it to be slightly smaller so that there will be a black outline around it. So you have two choices when it comes to things like this. You can either cut out extra space in the main design or cut this circle or whatever inner piece to be slightly smaller. For this, I'm going to do the latter. I'm going to make my circle slightly smaller. I'll start out by cutting the circle and then I'll trim it. And you can sort of like place it to see if you have the right shape and everything. And then you'll have something like this where it looks yellow on top, but it's red underneath. So you have to carefully separate the two. And now I have this, but I know it's a little too big. So I'm just going to trim around the edges until it'll fit nicely inside of this circle. So it should look like that. Now I have another technique for this other half of this cheek that'll go right here. So the first circle I had to trim up quite a bit to fit in the middle to have a complete black outline. When something is on the edge, you don't quite have to trim it because you could just space it, like place it a little bit outwards. And they're actually quite a lot easier to do when the pieces are on the edge. So I'm not going to trim this one at all. I'm just going to sort of place it with a little space between that and the other piece. So it should look like that, and I'm almost done with getting all the pieces together. Now I just need little white circles to be in his eyes because his eyes are going to be mostly black, but just with little white details. Okay, so for the next part of this design, we're going to put everything that we have on top of black. That's why we saved these pieces that are going to be black because it's really nice to just lay them down so that it'll help you cut the black outline and then you can just remove them later. So you'll need to cut out a piece that is going to be the slightly bigger on both sides than your design because you're going to make a black outline around it. Okay, so this part just takes placing each piece onto the black. And this is where you're going to want it like a puzzle piece because for the each smaller piece, you're going to want to space it out so that there's black lines between everything. With Pikachu, this is pretty easy. Pikachu is only two pieces pretty much, his tail and then his body. But it can get a little trickier for more advanced designs. If you need to, you can always take pieces off and then retrim them to fit. So start with a side piece because you're going to want to space it out on the black. If you stuck with a middle piece and put it like straight in the middle, you might find that you spaced it out wrong and you'll run out of black on the edges. So just stick with either a bottom piece or a side piece if it's a more complex one. For this one, obviously, we're just going to do his body. Okay, so even though the top of his ears and the base of his tail are going to be black, we're going to place these yellow cutouts on the design for now, just so that we'll be able to figure out how everything else should be placed. Like if we didn't put the base of his tail, then we'd have a hard time figuring out where to place the top of his tail. Okay, so we're almost done. Next, what we're going to want to do is cut out a black line around the entire design. And be careful, don't cut into these black details on the edge. Cut as if you were going around the whole thing. And that'll be the last step. Now, at this point, if you had any black areas in the design, you can just remove those. A lot of designs don't have this step, but Pikachu in particular does. And now just and now you have your design. You can just peel it up at this point and stick it on your wallet. And there you have it. You should have your design all done. Now, I put this onto wax paper because I am selling my designs separate of my wallets right now. This is especially for you crafters who make your own wallets but aren't quite good with the designs yet. So you can buy my designs separately and then put them on your wallets. It's like a pre-made decoration. My only rules with this is I'd ask that you not enter wallets made with my designs into contests because I feel like that'd be a little unfair. But yeah, so if not, you would just stick it on your wallet and trim it to the right size. And you know, there's a lot of different strategies you can use to make these, but this combination of layering over black and kind of putting pieces together like a puzzle is what works best for me, and that is how I do all my designs. And like I said, you can trace it, you can not trace it, or you can partially trace. And usually with mine, they're partially traced. I usually just trace either the face or the main pieces and then sort of eyeball the outside pieces. But it's really up to you how you do it. So I hope this tutorial was helpful and that you can go out and work on your designs now. Thank you.